Hi everyone, we are happy to here at the By1 conference. Today we are going to talk about Ghost in the BLF, a 2-year journey of testing in the wild LPE exploit in the Windows common log file system. My name is Chuan Jing. They are my 2 team members, Xi Shi and Guo Xianzhong. We are from BLF Security Weaving Lab. This slide outlines the key points of our presentation. First, we will talk about our journey of testing in the wild LPE exploits in Windows common log file system. Second, we will reveal a Pandora's box of Windows common log file system exploits and compare them with the work of other vendors. Third, we will discuss some samples that other vendors have overlooked. Finally, we will provide some insights into the trends in the wild Windows LPE 0 days. This page lists some previous researchers on Windows common log file system, including Death Note of Microsoft Windows Kernel by King Lab, Common Log File System Internals by Alex, Attacking the Common Log File System by 360, and Windows Common Log File System and File Exploits used by ransomware operators by Kaspersky. Familiarity with these works will help you better understand our talk. Next, we will divide our presentation into 5 parts. The first part is Start, where we will discuss how we began this work. The second part is Hunt, where we will explain how we hunt the first 8 common log file system exploits. We will provide a brief overview of each exploit, including basic information and the vulnerability root cause. The third part is Analyzing, focusing on our painful experience in analyzing the first common log file system exploit and how we develop some tools to speed up the analysis, and share 2 more unpublished common log file system exploits. The first part is Variant, where we will share 2 common log file system vulnerabilities that we discovered through variant analysis. The last part is Summary, where we will provide the relations between different common log file system exploits and make a summary. Now let's step into the Start section. We began our journey by catching the first common log file system exploit in October 2021, which triggered a Yara rule we wrote for Pipe Tribute. This exploit, with its CVE unknown, achieved control flow hijacking by modifying the P container pointer. For more details about this sample, you can refer to my Black Hat USA 2022 presentation. Here, I want to highlight the P container member, which is illustrated in a diagram from a blog of Kaspersky. This diagram is easy to understand, so I'm put it here. P container is a key pointer exploited by the first and all subsequent common log file system exploits we caught. All the exploits we caught focused on how to modify this member. So let's see how the first exploit modified the P container. It modified the P container by performing a 1-bit flip inside the common log file system log FCB physical flash metadata function. Through this operation, it changed 1 bit of an offset, causing the common log file system driver to load a fake P container. In April 2022, several common log file system vulnerabilities were patched, including one we reported and an in the wild 0 day reported by NSN and CrowdStrike. Additionally, the research paper of 360, Attacking the Common Log File System, was presented at Black Hat Asia 2022 this month. So, at that time, we realized that more exploits in common log file system may appear in the future. When we realized this, we began a serious hunt journey. So, how do we better hunter these exploits? First, Let's review how the first exploit was caught. It was detected by a Java verb we wrote for the pipe attribute technique. For more details, please refer to my presentation at Black Hat USA 2022. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "The way begs one, one begs two, two begs three, and three begs all things." By carefully studying the first exploit, we can quickly find the second and the third. So, how did we analyze the first exploit? We studied it from multiple dimensions, such as code similarity, PDB paths, exploit techniques, and strings. Additionally, Steve Jobs once said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish," means one should remain humble and eager. Therefore, we actively collected and carefully studied information about common log file system vulnerabilities disclosed by other vendors. Another month passed, and we caught the second common log file system exploit, which also triggered the pipe attribute verb. This sample was caught in May 2022. One interesting aspect of this sample is that its PDB parse indicates that the author believed he was writing an exploit for CVE 2022-24521, but he is not. This exploit was labeled by Kaspersky as exploit 1. Let's take a look at where the P container point is modified in this sample. It's still within CLFS log FCB physical flash metadata, but this time it's using the create type for purpose. The third common log file system exploit we caught was an in the wild sample of CVE 2022-24521. This was the real CVE 2022-24521. The vulnerability originated from a lack of proper validation on the signatures offset of CLFS log block header. Let's see how the sample tampered with the P container. It modified the P container within the CLFS encode block function, and the CLFS encode block function was called by the CLFS base file persisted write metadata block. In the same month, we also caught another in the wild common log file system exploit. This time is a really 0 day. The CVE number is CVE 2022-37969. This sample also hit our pipe attribute verb and many other words. The exploit code of this sample used a different technique from the previous samples. It employed the NTSE set access state generate mapping and the CLFS earlier LSN functions. For those interested, this scholar had published 2 high-quality blog posts you can read there. Let's see how this sample modified the P container. And this time, it was done in CLFS base file persisted a log symbol by using memory set. It particularly zero out the P container. 1 month later, we caught another new common log file system 1-day exploit, which was also detected by the pipe attribute verb. We couldn't identify the CVE number for this exploit, but what's interesting is that it introduced some new exploit techniques. This including hijacking virtual function calls in CLFS base file persisted check secure access and using functions such as CLFS MGMT deregister management client, NTPOFX processor notification, and NTRTL clear read. Kaspersky had also discussed this sample in their blog, labeled as exploit 2. Readers interested can refer to their blog. Let's see how the fifth sample modified the P container. This time, it returned to the CLFS log FCB physical flash metadata function, but used the F attributes instead. Another month passed, and we caught the sixth CLFS exploit, which also didn't have a CVE number. The exploit technique used in this sample is similar to the previous one, Kaspersky has also discussed this sample in their blog, labeled as exploit 3. Let's see how the sample modified the P container. This time, it was still within the CLFS log.fcd physical flash metadata function, but it used the LSN restart member. By summarizing the strings and exploit techniques of different exploits, we can clearly identify two different developers. We can roughly categorize the first and the part of third under develop A and the second, the first, the fifth, the sixth, and a later one under develop B. The next sample we called was CVE 2023-28252, but we decided to first discuss in the web sample of CVE 2023-23376, which we discovered when analyzing the CVE 2023-28252 exploit. This is a 0-day that was caught by Microsoft itself. Due to Kaspersky has provided detailed information about this vulnerability in their blog, and they labeled it as exploit 4. So I won't talk too much about this exploit here. Interested readers can refer to their blog. The 8th exploit we called was CVE 2023-28258, another in the wild 0 days. It was reported to Microsoft by us, Kaspersky and Mandiant. Kaspersky has also discussed this exploit in their blog, labeled as exploit 5. Again, I won't talk too much about this exploit here. Interested readers can refer to their blog. After briefly sharing the 8 common log file system exploits, we can move to the analyze section. First, I'd like to share with you how we analyzed the first common log file system exploit. At that time, we were completely unfamiliar with Windows common log file system and BLF file format, and there were few materials available for them. To analyze the first exploit, we did a lot of debugging and reverse engineering, made us exhausted. Afterwards, we started developing a 010 editor template for parsing the BLF file format. With the template, analyzing the BLF log files became much easier. This greatly accelerated our analysis speed. In addition to the 010 editor template, we also wrote a common log file system structure header file that could be imported into Adder. After importing the header file, reverse engineering of the common log file system driver became much easier. This greatly facilitated our analysis of common log file system exploits. Next, let's discuss a few questions. The first question is how to define whether a sample is a 0-day, 1-day, or n-day. The second question is how to determine the root cause of a common log file system vulnerability. The third question is how to classify a new exploit under a specific common CVE. For the first question, we used the simplest method, creating 3 environments to distinguish the 3 types of exploits. For the second question, we typically use the 010 template to parse the fields of the tempered BLF file to locate the files that facilitate the identification of the vulnerability's root cause. For cases where 010 template is not enough, we will use reverse engineering and debugging for further confirmation. During the analyze process, we also discovered some interesting samples. For example, the in the wild exploits of CVE 2023-23376 and CVE 2023-28252 attacker aim to evade detection. Some samples are also obfuscated, like the 28258 in the middle of this slide. Additionally, there are some samples that do not work properly or cause a BSOD up running. Next, let's look at the ninth common log file system exploit, which we caught in November 2023. Interestingly, its compilation time was also in November 2023, but the corresponding vulnerability was patched in January 2022. The code style of this sample is significantly different from the two developers mentioned before, and the code quality is a bit of low. After running the sample, the WinLog process will crash. Additionally, this sample is not compatible with the Windows 11 operating system. All signs indicate that this sample was written by a non-professional developer. This sample has not been publicly disclosed before. Let's see how this exploit modified the P container. This sample also modified the P container when assigning the create time member in the CLFS log FCB physical flash metadata function. It's in the same point as I mentioned in the second exploit. In the same month, we also caught another common log file system exploit. It is a vulnerability that was patched in September 2022. We found that this sample's exploit techniques are basically same to the second exploit. So it can also be considered as being written by the developer B. This sample has not been disclosed before. Next, let my partner Yin Qi Shi explain how to look for the root cause of this exploit.
Alright, we have many malicious samples. The next question is how to analyze the malicious exploit. We must know how they do, how they construct the BLF file. Let's look for root cause about 10 exploit. The first thing we do when we get malicious sample is to reversing it, right? But unfortunately, our sample has been obfuscated by control flow flatten. There are too many jump instructions, too big stack frames, and disassembler is too slow. Okay, so how to solve it? Let's try to think as an the exploit developer. We allocate memory to store our shellcode nowhere. In Windows, we use virtual generally. So we look up import tables and try to find the code. You can see our guess was right. And next, we set a hardware breakpoint in the allocate memory region. You can see interrupt success. They are still use P container to hijacks the control flow and elevate their privileges from user level to kernel. Then we have a question: where the P container changed? After some reversing works and debugging, we notice the function right mid block. It placed the P container in the class instance into the file count block. Let's see where P container comes from. As you see, container context contains P container, and context comes from the function acquire container context. Now let's see more about this function. Okay, in this function, it gets the base log recorder and the retrievals named RG containers according to the index. RG containers is an array of the container symbols offset. Then it will call function get symbol to get container context. Okay, New question arises where the container symbol changed. Before we continue our question and answer, we must to know what symbol, what's the structure of symbol. You can see the picture on the screen. It's still referring from Kaspersky's blog. As you see, this structure means hash symbol and has field named CB offset, means count of bytes offset. This offset points to all context, include client and the container. And CLFS driver according symbol offset to get context. The function symbol tells us we have another function to add symbol. Continue. According the import tables and referring COE, there are function chain called by add log container. That means our idea is right. We can call function a log symbol to create a new symbol. So let's see that it's getting more and more interesting. After reading, we can see that the malicious symbol patch path CB symbol zone. That offset of symbol zone. I think it can be called symbol cursor. It's offset of next symbol offset. I mean it's offset to all exist symbol ended position. This function initializes the memory region to store the symbol according to CB symbol zone. You can see my blue comment marks the offset in file comment plot. Remember it. Be careful. If you use format template path file, you will be stressed. So you can see on the screen, I have marked the points corresponding to CB symbol zoom. Client context overlaps with container symbol. It's magic. Okay, next, let's move on. Back to color, you can see the highlight code. It's construct structure of CLFS hash symbol. This structure includes CB offset. Remember, it's offset of context. Okay, back to code again. We create symbol after calling and symbol next function. Add container will use symbol offset and locate to symbol and read offset of context. And the key point, set to class instance field named RG containers. Do you remember that a few minutes ago I mentioned the RG containers in function acquire container context? Let's see it again. Yeah, we use CB symbol zoom to control offset of symbol. So when we call acquire container context, the driver will get validated container context under our control. Back to the color, it's then will call to the function named write midday block. Does it look familiar? We are back to the beginning. So now we control driver to write a new container context as a special place. The last question is, where modify the P container in the structure of container context? In order to answer this question, we notice the function flash midday. As you see, this sample modifies the P container. CLFS driver restore client context from class instance. By the way, the reason I mentioned the restore also means that there must be backup. So in this case, I omit backup part. The corresponding files will come from raw file blog. In fact, the modification occurred when the LS1 lost and LS1 restart member was assigned. Finally, you can see the container has been modified. At this point, we have surroundingly identified the root cause of this vulnerability. Next, I will get my understanding to continue sharing the rest of our presentation.
Okay, after discussing the 10 in the web common log file system exploits, we will now talk about variant analysis. So, why variant analysis is important? I think this slide by Maddie Stowe gives us a reason. So, how do we conduct variant analysis? I think it can be divided into two situations. The first is when the vulnerability itself hasn't disappeared, but a patch accidentally prevents the triggering of this vulnerability, causing the exploit to fail. A typical example is CVE 2022-24481. The second is when the developer seems to understand the root cause of the vulnerability and fix the bug, but they have not completely fixed or have made a mistake. A typical example is CVE 2022-3935803, which we found by auditing the patch for the CVE 2022-24481. So let's first look at the example of CVE 2022-24481. A key point of this exploit is that there is a 1-bit flip at this location. However, in the September 2021 patch, an added validation accidentally blocked this vulnerability. The patch only checked the value of client context offset to make sure it couldn't be less than 3068. So, what if we construct a client context offset that is greater than this value and makes the client context offset point to a forward container context? Boom. After some symbol modified, a new 1-bit flip was born. And this leads to BSOD. Now we can see the familiar BSOD again. This variant is CVE 2022-24481. And now let's look at the example of CVE 2022-35803. This vulnerability was discovered while analyzing the patch for CVE 2022-24480. In the April 2022 patch, the common log file system driver added a new function named CLFS base file validate RG offsets. Due to this patch, the method of directly modifying the client context offset was fixed. However, there was still no check for CID node.c type. Therefore, we only need to set the CID node.c type file of a client context to container context to bypass this patch. LPE has written a wonderful blog about this vulnerability. Anyone interested in this case can read his blog. By the way, in the web exploit mentioned in LPE's blog is actually the second exploit discussed in this talk. From the figure, we can see that by changing the type of different context, we successfully hijacking a function point to non-executable memory, triggering a BSOD. Finally, let's briefly summarize this presentation. From October 2021 to November 2022, we caught 10 different common log file systems in the web exploits over 2 years. The table shows the CVE numbers of these exploits, their corresponding labels by Kaspersky's blog, and their hashes. During the journey of tracking common log file system, we had caught 2 windows in the wild 0 days and independently discovered 2 common log file system 0 days through variant analysis. All these 4 vulnerabilities received acknowledgements from Microsoft. And finally, combining with recent observations, we can predict the trend of Windows in the web exploits. We believe that the battle with Windows common log file system is nearing end, while vulnerabilities in desktop window manager and other models will gradually increase. And thanks to these guys for assistance in this journey. And Binjo is that under the stage. And thank you for listening to our presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. We open the floor for any questions.
Do you think there's a systemic issue with the CLFS, or was it just badly written to start with?
Can you repeat your question?
Do you think there's a systemic issue in the sense of, is there a methodology in the way that it's implemented that creates a series of security issues that they're just sort of putting band-aids over, or was it just badly written to start with? Like, is there something systemic in the way that it was built that leads to security issues?
Okay, due to my English level, your question is a bit of complex to me, and you can ask under this stage, and we can talk one-to-one. Oh, okay. This, because I have think about this question. I think when Microsoft developed this common log file system driver, they made some mistakes on the design level. So actually, many of the exploits were successful due to this p container pointer. But if you do better in the design level, and I think they can prevent this issue at a very early time. But for now, Microsoft they only fix every case, and they never disable this driver to introduce some notification for this question. So, but the good thing is that these exploits have lines like this. So I think this battle with common log file system is nearing end, and because in the past 6 months, we have caught 2 Windows Desktop Manager 0 days. So I think maybe the attacker now pays their attention under such as DWM and other models. And I think that models will have a trend of that like this.
There's another question.
Why do you say that the battle with CLFS is nearing its end, and why do you see desktop window manager being more vulnerable over time?
Oh, okay, I have just answered this question, and I answered again. From our presentation, you can find that the first 8 common log file system exploits caught by us happened at about November 2021 to about November 2023, and the 8 more earlier. The last 2 caught by at November 2023, and we can, if you draw a picture and by time and the catch time, and you can finger picture like this. And so based on it, we can predict that the battery will come along first turn in the end. And why I think Windows Desktop Manager vulnerability will have more in the future? Because in the November 2023 and in the April 2024, we have called two DWM in the 1 days. And due to the complex of desktop manager model, it's DWM code Dell or the 132K model. And we think there are more vulnerabilities under these models. So I think maybe this is just the start of the next battle.
Any more questions? Looks like that's about it. Thank you very much, guys.